Well, hello, everyone. I'm Angela Minicucci Robertson. I am a board member here at Peppermint Creek Theatre Company, and we are excited to be wrapping up our 20th season. And with that, we're going to walk through a couple of your reflections as we close out this season and prepare for the next about what Peppermint Creek means to you all, what it means to each of us. So, Chad, do you want to start a little bit and tell us about what it means to you?
Yeah, I do. I mainly want, thank you. I'm Chad Swan-Badgero. I'm the artistic director here at Peppermint Creek Theatre Company. And this has been a really exciting year for us in so many ways. And I kind of actually just want to reflect a little bit on sort of the monumental aspects of this year in particular. We originally were founded in 1995. So we've been producing theater for almost close to 30 years, actually. But as a nonprofit, formally, we were formed in 2003. So this year has been so exciting to reflect on all of the major milestones for us as a theater company, and particularly that has been, I think, two major things. One that has been about all of the various venues that we've been at across our history. I think over close to 30 different spaces. And particularly like the two venues before we've moved into this where we are now, the Creole Gallery, where we were at for close to 7 years, and then the Miller Performing Arts Center, where we were also there for about 7 or 8 years. But this year on our 20th, the stars aligned in a really amazing way for us to finally find what we're calling our home now at Stage One at Sycamore Creek Eastwood. And so that was really tremendous. That was a lot of work to take that space that Sycamore Creek had purchased or acquired that was an old church, and then to be part of the process alongside Sycamore Creek to renovate and make that space a performing arts center for the community, not only us, but other arts organizations that don't have a space of their own. And that was like that has been like a lifelong dream of mine, for there to be a shared community art space. And so that was really tremendous. And the fact that that aligned with our 20th season is also just sort of really serendipitous and lovely. The second thing about this year has been just about the reflecting on all of the productions that we've been part of and that we've brought to the community over the last 20 years as a formal theater company. And then particularly not only just the actual titles of all those shows, but all of the casts and crews that have been part of those shows, which is just every show is like its own family or its own community. And to think that we've now produced, as we wrap up this 20th season, 109 productions over our history is just really tremendous to think about. Those are 109 little families, little communities, and then stories that we've told for the Lansing community. And that's really, really thrilling. So aside from how excited I was about this particular 20th season and what we had lined up, the shows that we produced this year, which I feel really strongly about, and I think really aligned with our mission in major, major ways. And so I was really excited about just this year in particular, but it's been such a gift to have the chance to reflect on what we've done over 20 years and beyond.
And we're going to take that a step further, and you've all followed us for that. Whether this is your first season with us or your 20th, maybe your 30th, as we approach our really kind of 30th, if you think about it that way. I hadn't thought about it that way
Yeah.
before. These reflections are a testament to the power of this community and the fact that we're able to continue to put on these shows as a community-based theater because of your support. So we're going to walk through a couple of them. We've got former board members, we've got friends, family, loved ones. So let's just dive right into it.
And hey, as an aside, I haven't seen any of these. So like part of the shtick here is that I don't know what people are going to say. I don't have not, we've not reviewed these. So this might get teary. I just want to prepare
It
you.
might,
Yeah.
because you all really sent us some beautiful sentimental things.
Yeah.
So let's see how you feel about this. So I'll read this. So as we celebrate the conclusion of Peppermint Creek Theatre Company's remarkable 20th season, and as an advisory board member, I can't help but to applaud our ability not to merely entertain audiences, but to build awareness around hushed topics and create community in the greater Lansing area. The essence of Peppermint Creek's mission to address vital societal issues, raise awareness, and encourage dialogue resonates deeply in every production, and I'm so glad to have been a part of just a few of the many productions. Each show is carefully chosen to spark conversation and reflection, serving as a catalyst for community engagement and acceptance. I'm proud that Peppermint Creek offers a safe space where diverse perspectives can be shared and uplifted. I look forward to many more seasons of impactful performances. Cheers to 20 years. And that is from one of our board members, Kamara Lewis. She's not just a board member, she is a huge part of the behind the scenes of a number of productions the last couple of years.
Yeah,
So
I've had such the privilege to work with Kamara, particularly on shows as a costumer. And as anyone that's been involved in the theater can attest to the fact that each show may be like a family, but sometimes they're like dysfunctional families. And so I've been thrilled that the Kamara is always such an even, calm, informed, creative voice in the shows that we've been part of. And so while I'm so thrilled that she's on our board, I'm excited that we've been able to work together in a creative capacity too on shows. So thank you, Kamara.
Agreed. And I really truly love our board's belief in the mission of Peppermint Creek. And we've talked about this, especially as we've hit the 20th year, about what the mission means. And if this is something that we still absolutely want to lean into. And not only does I think the board fully buy into the purpose of Peppermint Creek, and really how it makes us unique as a theater in the area, but based on the feedback that we're hearing from a number of you all believe in it too. And that's exactly why we put on these shows.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I am ready. But what I do know is that my mom and my dad both sent something in.
Yes.
And when we talk about the creation of a theater company and how long we've been in existence, I sometimes joke about this when I include this in our history, but that this theater company started on my parents' back deck, which you can see behind my mother right now. She probably did that on purpose. And so that's no small thing when we think about when you followed us. My parents are at the start of that. I'll respond after they're done. I'm sorry about that.
All right, let's see.
Hello, I am Pam Badgero. I'm Chad's mom, and I am so happy to have that title. Doug and I are so proud of Chad because as his parents, we have witnessed the beginnings and the progression of Peppermint Creek Theatre Company over the last 30 plus years. Even before PCTC was incorporated as a nonprofit in 2003, Chad had already been recruiting neighbors, high school and college students, and friends he had made in New York, Chicago, and California to put on plays and musicals on our back deck, in our basement, in a greenhouse, under tents, and in our church sanctuary, wherever he could find a space for his artistic dreams. I love and respect Peppermint Creek Theatre Company because it's an entity that is tackling issues that our community and world are experiencing right now. Every time I see one of PCTC's plays, I not only enjoy them, but I walk away thinking about and hashing over what I just saw. I believe that's the sign of a great production. In closing, after being itinerant for many years, Doug and I are overjoyed that Peppermint Creek has found a home at Stage 1 through a collaboration with Sycamore Creek Church. This space is a wonderful venue to continue Chad's vision of carrying out PCTC's mission for another 20 years. Love you, Chad. Mom.
So all I can say is that
So I'm teary-eyed and I've seen this.
Yes, well, I have a lot of things to say, but I won't. I'll just say directly to my mom later. But is support young people who have dreams. Period. My parents could have been a totally different set of people, and they could have said, "Get off our deck. We want to have dinner," or no. Just because I work at a greenhouse doesn't mean that you can come perform there. But they were the opposite of that. They've said yes my entire life since I was as young as I can remember. And they have believed in me and in the importance of the arts, not only like in my life, but in our community's life. And they have built sets, they have donated their living room furniture, they have allowed me to, they still, I mean, up until like Daddy Longlegs last season, where they just were like helping me flip it over and move everything in and out. And that none of this type of work, like running a theater company, anyone who tells you that knows, is a lot of work, and you can't do it without a community. But that began with my parents, and it began by them believing in me and just saying yes to me, even if they didn't agree, even if they didn't understand. And so I have a lot to say to my parents about gratitude, but that begins by just like a basic belief in your kids and in the power of how the arts can make the world a better place.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm not going to ask a lot of questions on this one because this is.
Thanks, Mom.
This is just such a beautiful video. My only comment is that this really, and you said it right at the start, support young people. From the moment a kid comes to you with an idea, with a passion for something, you have the ability to provide the foundation for something beautiful. And that's exactly what your parents have done.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, okay. Tears aside.
Yep.
Let's go to the next one.
Hello.
Hi, Mom.
Let me
again.
go over. Thanks, Fab. All right. So this is a comment we got on Instagram. Always excellent theater. Thought-provoking, diverse and inclusive, thoughtful, timely, fun productions done with care and attention. Many thanks.
It's great. And I think that there's a lot of ways to measure success. I think when it comes to putting on any piece of art, right? Whether it be, I can see Anne's picture with music or dance, or in our case, theater. There's a lot of ways to measure that. And for us, we as a theater company, as Angela had said at the beginning, we're always kind of exploring, like, is our mission relevant anymore? And do people care about it? Or is it necessary? And I think some of the words that she's brought out here, as far as provoking and diverse and inclusive and thoughtful, like, mean a lot to me, because certainly we could measure our success by if we like met our budget and we made some money, or the number of people that came to see the show, if it was sold out or otherwise. But ultimately, I think for us as a theater company, we've always kind of come out on the side of, we believe in our mission, and are we addressing it? So is it thoughtful? Is it timely? Is it speak to where we are today? And is it impacting people in that way? So there may just be 5 people that were really moved by that production, but if it was the right 5 people that we needed to reach, then we're doing our work.
Yeah.
And so thank you, Yoga Force piece with us. AM21.
What I really loved about this comment is that when I read it, every word of it was really very much the intent behind, I think, a lot of the shows that we put on. And these aren't words directly from, our mission. Some of them might be, but for the most part, this is what we intend to do, is to bring entertainment to the community that also is thought-provoking, is diverse, is inclusive, does provide the ability to learn something new, but with care and attention. I really loved all of that.
Yeah, and I want to be a little bit vulnerable here, and Angela can speak to this too, that she knows that. So particularly like this last season, I brought a show to our lineup, How to Defend Yourself, that was so close to my heart, in regards to, I had seen it when it originally premiered in Louisville, Kentucky, years ago, and I have fought to bring this show to our lineup for years and years, like badgering the playwright, badgering her agent, and finally we were able to do it this season. I believed in its message as far as women's safety, et cetera, and how women are protected or not, and how important it was to us. And we did not have large audiences, and I got a little choked up at a board meeting, just simply because I think I had forgotten that our mission is not necessarily sold out crowds. While that's great, and I love that, obviously, but that our mission is to address current issues. And because like our lineups are always aligned with that. And so, and so I still believe in that show and how important it was, and that the people that saw it were the people that needed to see it. And I think that we'll continue to do that as far as like programming.
Absolutely. And I think I shared this at the board meeting, is I had conversations with my own husband after that show that after 15 years of being together, I'd never had.
Yeah.
And so the purpose of Peppermint Creek is to provide that open door for those conversations. It is not to be, the destination theater, like the Whartons of the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a space for us in this community for that exact reason.
Yeah.
So Thank you, Anne. Okay, so from Blake, what I've always loved about Peppermint Creek is that it provides a safe space for all artists to work on their craft free of judgment or expectation beyond a respect for the theater space. We promote personal growth through artistic development. Our mission is delivered solely through our staged performances, but it's also found in the unity created through the rehearsal process, our unwavering support of silenced populations, and the conversations our audiences bring to the community after the curtain closes. Blake is also a board member, and you may see him on the stage from time to time.
And we're lucky.
And we're so lucky for
Yeah.
his support. So what do you think about Blake's comments?
Well, I love all this. Thank you, Blake. I think so much of like these types of things are really like the relationship that I have with these people that have sent this in, and particularly Blake has been, I've been on stage with Blake since we were both in high school, and so much of my heart lies with these people and with Blake, particularly because he and I were sort of co-artistic directors for a time before his family and other responsibilities, but I'm so thrilled that he's still with us on the board, because, you know, we would joke when we were doing that is that, you know, we were a nice foil to each other. I mean, I often can be cryy and awfully gay at times. And Blake was always sort of really steady and brought a completely different point of view to the way that I saw our programming in a way that was so valuable as a team to do. And so Blake, I feel like Blake and I have walked alongside each other for such a long time. And I think that part of me left my heart when he moved far away for school, as we do in life. And then it returned to me when he came back to Lansing. And so I'm grateful for that.
Yep, and his whole family, Shannon, maybe Keaton and Addie one day will be on a Peppermint Creek stage. But what I really loved about his comments is I was thinking back to the shows that we put on through like the voices side of what we do.
Yeah.
And I really the telling project, it really stuck out to me. Just the fact that it's not just about putting on shows that somebody else has written. It's about creating stories and sharing real experiences together as a community. And Blake has been instrumental in keeping us laser focused on that. And so we're just very grateful. I'm very grateful for you as well, Blake. All right.
Okay, God. So thankfully you spaced my parents apart.
I did.
Thank goodness for doing that.
All right, here we go, Dad.
Over the past 30 years, there have been many proud moments to watch PCTC go from conception to full-fledged maturity. Who would have thought the inspiration of a fifth grader playing Charlie Brown would have led to what PCTC is today? You are not going to see South Pacific or Annie Get Your Gun, but what you will see is relevant issues of today. Faith and religion, gay marriage, infidelity in a marriage, racism, politics, even the exclusion of books from the library. Thank you for the enlightenment for today's world. Swan-Badgero.
So a lot of what I said about my mom is true. I think that my dad is part of that. I often use my dad as a barometer, I think, because I'm like the theater nerd who reads a lot of plays and sees a lot of plays, and my dad is not that person. And so oftentimes my dad's opinion about that is really relevant in my mind as I'm imagining like what, you know, because we have a lot of other theater nerds in Lansing and in the community. And I think that are our audience, but then how are we reaching other people beyond that? And so my dad's sort of opinions about the work that we do, and also like how theater can be used to just push people's like boundaries just a bit, is thrilling. And I also just like need to say that since we're doing this thing that feels a little bit self-indulgent, but to thank my father for, you know, everything I've learned about responsibility and about and leading people and leading a company is from my dad. And so I'm really grateful for that. So thank you, Dad.
Yeah. I'm not gonna ask questions on this either. You can talk to your mom and dad after and tell them how much they are appreciated and loved by this community as well. But what I really liked about kind of the dichotomy between what your mom and dad said was that your mom, who is always so chatty, she really she spoke to so much about just the beauty of what Peppermint Creek has become and evolved to over the years. And I loved how your dad really focused on the issues and the side of you can just tell from your parents that they believe wholeheartedly in you and in this company, and they get it.
Yeah.
And that, like I said, that is the foundation of our ability to put on these shows.
And I also like the list too. I think that he sort of touched on a series of those. And it's interesting to me as we like reflect back on a full 20 years about when we say that to address current issues, and my dad sort of gave a list of some of those, that how some of those issues change and then some of those issues have not changed. And I'm interested in that. And I think our audiences and our community are as well, that there are sort of issues that come and go. And so a play that really seems really great this year is not going to necessarily make sense in a season lineup in 2 to 3 years. And then there's others that really stick with us and we have to continue to chip away at and continue to have conversations about, until we've, I don't know if figured out is the right word, but until we've like addressed it, and we've yeah.
Well, there may be issues we never stop addressing.
Yeah.
And that's okay. That I think that means that as a theater company, we're going to continue to make sure that we are fulfilling our mission. And that's what our society needs, our community needs.
Yeah, which I guess is exciting about our longevity, right? That there's always going to be things to talk about.
There will.
Yeah.
There absolutely will.
Over the past 30 years.
Right. All right. Peppermint Creek strives to produce classic and contemporary theater that addresses vital issues in our society, raises awareness, and encourages dialogue while entertaining. Over the many years I have been attending Peppermint Creek productions, I am consistently grateful that productions embrace the complexity of the world, human interaction, human heritage, change, the present, and the future. I deeply appreciate the Peppermint Creek productions invite thinking and conversation, and that they are a stimulus for audience and actors alike to learn about themselves with others, and themselves with others navigating important issues, challenges, and opportunities. Peppermint Creek shows entertain, broaden horizons, engage the minds of the audience, provide moments of wonder, open doors to the thinking of others, and propel artistic energy. Thank you to all involved, and forward into the next 20 years of engaging the community. From Jerry Jennings, who is a steadfast volunteer, and I would dare to say like kind of quasi board member, as his wife was our president for so long. And I loved his comments because it really, so much of him as an educator and as a facilitator came through in this. So what do you think of these?
Yeah, and I mean, Jerry has served as like he hated that I called him my life coach, but it really served as my life coach in so many ways. A while ago, and when we were sort of in a lot of transition for the company, and so yeah, I want to reflect the fact that it's interesting when we think about ourselves as educators, or how are we. And I'd say that to anyone, whether I think for us as a theater company, we have a mission that really drives us. And part of that lies in education, but I think that's with a soft hand, I guess, because we're always trying to find, how are we finding like shows that are a good balance? So we're not just like the super liberal theater company, but that is welcoming people in to really sort of have a discussion. And that's what I really appreciate about what Jerry has said here is, I mean, we're working really hard at that. And that's always like every year is like, really, how are we not just one thing? How can we be as broad as possible so that everyone feels welcome at the theater and feels like that they could be part of the discussion, because that's what I think really is my dream for our company.
Yeah. Well, and I really like how you just stated that everyone feels welcome. I mean, I think that, to your point about how to defend yourself, we're not going to always sell out the house, and that's okay. That's a tough issue, particularly in the state of society right now, dealing with the issue of body autonomy and our ability to make sure that we're keeping safe spaces for men and women. That's not something everybody's going to be open to hearing and receiving. But we keep that door open and we allow for that inclusivity for the people that are ready for it.
Yeah.
And I think Jerry really hit on that in his comments.
Thank you,
So,
Jerry.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you, Karen.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of which,
Yes.
midway through Take Me Out, the season of 2005 and 6, I knew Peppermint Creek was no community theater I'd ever experienced. With that show began a curiosity, respect, support, and love of this company. I haven't missed a show since that first one, and I think that's true. And have gone on to serve on the board of directors, supported productions, and invited many friends to attend a show. Peppermint Creek has stayed true to its mission of addressing vital issues in our society, raising awareness, and encouraging dialogue while entertaining. You always leave a Peppermint Creek show having a lot to personally reflect upon and think about and talk with others and look ahead with anticipation to the next show. Congratulations on this 20-year milestone, and thank you to all who bring us this theater to life.
You know, this feels like old home week. And, you know, we had an experience, so Karen, this is my favorite thing. She likes to like bring up that Take Me Out and seeing the naked boys on stage was like the reason why she wanted to like become, and that's a joke, but Karen has been what I think you always dream about when, as like someone who runs a business and an organization, that what you're putting out into the world draws people to you and wants them to stay involved and wants them to keep coming back and wants them to like add their voices to that so that we continue to grow in that way, so our community continues to grow. So that's something we dream of. And so Karen is like a living example of like my dream for how we run a company and et cetera. But something I just want to like raise up Karen for that she's done so amazing was, I'm remembering that when we were at the Miller Performing Arts Center, and we went through, it's probably like the most grown-up thing we've ever had to do as a theater company, which was to decide whether or not we were going to purchase the building or not. And that was a major decision for us as a theater company. And there was a lot of feelings involved in that. And I remember sitting with Karen, and Karen has always, and she will say this, I hope you're laughing right now when you're watching this, Karen, that she was always like my pragmatist. And that's what made her such a great board president, and also just member of our board, because I tend to be a dreamer, and without necessarily always considering all of the logistics. And Karen was really valuable and insightful that way, but she did that in a way that was always sort of with a hug, I guess. And so I had a lot of emotions going into the purchase of Miller and whether or not we should do it. And Karen came with both of that. She came with leadership and clarity and all the logistics laid out, and she was really reasonable. But she did that with a hug, and you know, and I really respected that, and we've been so fortunate for the way that her fingerprints are all over the way our company and the way I lead this company. And if I ever do it well, a huge part of it is because of Karen. Yeah.
I think that's true for many of us on the board, even myself as the current president, having served under her, if you will, or really learned from her. She not only provides that steady hand and honest but kind feedback and support, but she's also the first one to raise her hand and to step up and to clean the bathrooms.
all of it. Tape up blackout curtains all over the church.
Go ahead and shovel all the snow.
All of that.
Pick up the ice.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, her and Jerry have been truly, their fingerprints really are all over everything. Yeah. And while we want them to enjoy every moment of their retirement with their family, we're so grateful to their support, and I know we're going to continue to see them. So love you guys. All right. Another video, hopefully not as sentimental.
I don't know.
No
maybe.
tears, but maybe.
Fine. I'm fine. I'm here.
One of Peppermint Creek Theater's biggest strengths, in my view, is the way that it develops the artists that are involved in telling the stories they choose. They are so good at fostering a sense of empathy and understanding the motivation behind the characters that are portrayed, that they create something that seems so real and so genuine. And as an audience member, what that does is it really creates a sense that the people involved care and they understand the people that they are portraying, which opens doorways to having further conversations about the topics that are being portrayed on stage. And Peppermint Creek chooses such incredibly important and poignant shows that have a meaning that is something worth digging into further, that connection with the actors and the audience is something so special, so real, and it helps to create this really a beautiful sense of empathy that creates further dialogue. And that is something so, so special.
Thank you, Rachel. So you've seen Rachel. I've had the privilege of working with Rachel on Daddy Longlegs and The Prom most recently. And, you know, so we had talked early on about like all the pieces that are running a company or a theater company, you know, audiences, and in this case, actors and behind the scenes folks. And Rachel's such a great example of like how it's such a gift to me. I feel like anything that all of the most important things I've ever learned in my life, I've learned through the theater, and I've learned through producing work for the theater and the work I've had to do to bring a show to the stage. Without a doubt, it's how I've learned like the most important things to me. And so, you know, it's such a gift to hear all of the things that Rachel thinks are important in our productions, because those are all gifts to me. Like they're, I mean, I went to school for theater, part of one of my degrees. And I still feel like really I've learned it by being in rehearsal and going through a production show after show after show. And that Rachel's a great example as of all the casts that we've been so lucky to have come and work with us, that they bring then all of their own lessons as well. So like the things that we've learned, and I think we continue to grow and be better for a lot of reasons, but one of those is that the people who come and agree to be part of these, like not only just in the audience, but on stage and backstage, and the ways we've learned from them and grown and been better. So Rachel, you're such a gift. Oh my gosh. Like, thank you for all that. And you know, and I guess I'm always like just so honored every time. And I think Rachel would attest to this, my cast have said this, that the one thing I think I consistently say whenever I'm giving like the pep talk before an opening night is that, like, thank you for coming and agreeing to do this. I mean, they're all volunteers. That it's like, that's, I think the thing that's been so amazing to me to run a nonprofit is that for 20 years, almost 30 years, that people continue to come and say yes to this process to put on a show. It's sort of just like, you know, Mickey and Judy, and yet that people do, and it's such a gift. It's such a gift of my life. It's just so amazing.
Well, you built this company, so this is a testament to what you've done. Goodness. And one thing that really stuck out to me about Rachel's comments, and this isn't a word that I think we are intentional around using, but what I really loved about it, and I don't know Rachel other than seeing her on stage, but empathy, and the fact that I personally believe that is something that at this point in time our society needs more now than ever before. And her attention to that, and what the actors bring to the stage, our cast and crew is able to bring to the community. I mean, that is just such an important thing that we all need to learn. And so her comments really just struck me and to say, like, that's why we exist. Yeah. That's why we do what we do. Yeah. And that is important now more than ever. Yeah. So thank you, Rachel.
One of Peppermint.
Let me go. All right. Peppermint Creek holds a special place in my heart. Beyond a theater company, it's become a hub for creativity and community. Peppermint Creek's commitment to amplifying diverse voices and illuminating societal issues has ignited a passion in so many members of the community to advocate for change through art. Being a part of Peppermint Creek feels like finding a second family. It's where I've shared laughter, tears, and growth with a wonderful group of people. I'm grateful for the relationships the theater community has fostered and the opportunities it's given myself and a countless number of peers to contribute to the space that values every voice. This is from Ben Cassidy. He's a past president on the board of directors. Maybe one day we'll suck him back in. No pressure, Ben. None whatsoever. Okay, yes, except
there is.
Yeah. But what do you think about Ben's comment?
You know what so I'm sitting here with our board president, who's about to have her third baby
Monday
this next week. You guys, amazing. And I'm looking at Ben's comments, and I'm thinking about particularly the shows that Ben and I have worked on together, and particularly, you know, Olive's Calm is a great example, which is now going into its 4th year. And that, and then I'm thinking about 20 years and 30 years and where I have come, like who I was when I was 18 and I started this theater company, and I am now 46, and like, and the change that we have come through. And I mean that like as a world, as a theater company, and as like people, right? So like who Angela and I were when she joined our board, when we met in Old Town, and who Ben was when he came to us and first was on stage, and what he's brought in, like the life we have lived. And I think that I'm particularly drawn to community in this case, as we like are a few years out from COVID, thank goodness, and how people, and I think communities, survive or fall apart when they have a lack of community. And I think about how important this community, sorry, of Peppermint Creek has been in my life, as far as like, whenever I'm the most frustrated about something in the world, I've worked it out at the theater so that I feel like I can go away and then appreciate the joy of our world. And when I think about the ways that I've made it through hard and wonderful times, it's always been people that I've met through this theater company, and who I'm walking alongside. And so, and Ben is such a great example of that. And I feel like wherever this theater company is leading us, and leading us as people, but then also as a community, I just can only at this exact moment just reflect on how grateful I am for the people I've been able to walk with through this process, like Ben and you.
Yeah. And I'm grateful for you and Ben and our board and our community as well. Ben touched on the importance of advocating for change. And when I read that at first, it really struck me, because I think so much of what I personally take out of a show is change in my own mind, right? Change in my own home, maybe conversations that I have in my own family or in my network. But it's true that a lot of what we do has truly a much bigger impact. Those subtle shifts in how we think or how we perceive the world as a result of walking in someone else's shoes just by sitting in a Peppermint Creek Theater production, that leads to a better future. It's our ability to then vote differently, maybe put our money somewhere differently in the community, maybe decide how we want to volunteer a little differently and show up for each other. And that is a secondary impact that I don't think we talk about enough. But it's absolutely the result of a lot of the productions and a lot of the things you're going to get out of a Peppermint Creek performance. So I'm glad Ben touched on that.
Thank you, Ben. I should have asked how many there are, because am I watching the Notebook right now?
I think we've only got like 1 or 2 more.
I love
This might be the last,
okay.
but I should have counted. I think we had about 10. So.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll wrap up here soon, guys.
Well, any community theater is vital to a community. You have people from within the community performing, but you have people, community members coming together to the theater for a common purpose. They're coming to the same place for the same reason, to watch this performance of a story that highlights the human experience, and we get to feel all the emotions that come with that. You know, joy and happiness, sadness, terror, anger, all of that. And to do that, experience that individually is one thing, but to do it collectively with other people from your community around you, whether you know them or not, is really important. Theater is incredibly immersive, especially Peppermint Creek, which, you know, I think, you know, their creativity and how these shows are performed are, you know, you're not just watching something up on a stage, things are happening around you oftentimes, depending on the venue, which makes it more immersive. And that immersiveness, I think, fits really well with Peppermint Creek's mission, which is to explore issues that are important to a community. And so, you know, live theater works really well with that, you know, this immersive nature. So we're dealing with these issues, and personally engaging with them and giving thoughts, but it's a little different when you look at the people around you and see how they are reacting to it. And I think that's an important thing for a community to experience together. I recall somebody once saying that about live theater, that an audience sits in the dark and looks to the light. And I think that's a good metaphor for Peppermint Creek and especially Peppermint Creek with its mission, where we come sort of in the dark and we leave more enlightened, after looking at the light, which is this show that's, getting us to engage with these issues. So, yeah, it's an important part of the community. It's an important part of my life. I thank you for 20 years of producing great shows, and congratulations. And I look forward to many more shows in the future.
Love Dan's comments. Dan was also in our most recent production though, to wrap up the season with. So what do you think?
I feel like I can't even add. This is what I love about Dan, is that I can't even add to that. I think that, and this is a great example about why you can never do anything alone. I think when I started the company, I was trying to do it all by myself, and that didn't work. And I think that we have grown only because we continue to pull people closer to us who bring their individual mindsets, but then a shared belief in our mission. And Dan is a great example of that. About how we can, I feel like I listen to Dan and I'm then reminded about who we need to be, about who I need to be as a leader of a company. And I'm reminded about its impact. So Dan was more articulate than I can be. And that's the kind of person I want to be around, because he helped me see that in a brand new way. Oh my gosh, I'm going to tattoo that on my arm, sitting in the dark and looking to the light. And there are a lot of really poetic ways to think about art. But that's a beautiful way to envision it. And especially when it can be so easy to get wrapped up in the minutia of all the little things that need to happen to make a show run. Hearing that type of metaphor about the impact it can have on people and on a community is so rewarding. I just can't. Dan, thank you. And Dan and I share such a beautiful evolving, really organic history of how we've met, and I've met his family, and they've come to be so important to me. And also secondarily to our company. And so Dan, I'm so grateful for you.
Well, I would challenge you on one thing though. I don't think it's just about the people that we pull in. I think that Dan is an example of people that gravitate towards being in Peppermint Creek Productions, being involved, showing up, continuing to be a part of our future and our present, because they see it. It's so clear that, like you said, he's so articulate. He brought a perspective that I hadn't considered before. Yeah. And that's because I think people are looking for this kind of space. Yeah. The space that you've built through this. And part of that, when I first listened to this Dan's comments, was thinking about our talkbacks and how when we put on a show, we offer these opportunities for people to have an engaging conversation with the cast and the crew. And not everyone participates. Not everyone feels comfortable sticking around in kind of a public forum, and that's absolutely okay. Like I said, you can take these small, subtle things that you've learned from a Peppermint Creek production and apply it elsewhere in your own personal life or home. But those opportunities to really engage and explore something deeper, his comments reminded me of that. And I can't say that I'm going to attend every talk back, because there are some issues that you just feel a little too personal to publicly discuss. But I can say that is something that I believe is so important about the work that we do, is providing that space. Yeah. That if and when you want to have that conversation about what you've learned or about what you've seen, or to explore something deeper, that's the home that we've built. I think we may have one more. Let's see. Oh no, that's it. You survived.
I survived. And I guess to not too on the nose, I'm thrilled that we have survived for 20 years and beyond. And that really is only because of people that believe in our mission and believe in the work we're doing. I guess the way to wrap up something like this is obviously to say thank you, because if no one comes to a show, there's no reason to put on a show. And so I'm grateful that people continue to come, that people continue to want to be involved in our shows, both on stage and backstage and in the audience. And then and I've got kids yelling in the background. That's also the change of the world. And then but then also I'm just so excited about what's next, about what can happen, about the stories that we might still tell. And that even whether the things that we want to celebrate about the world, or the things that we really want to commiserate about the world, that Peppermint Creek's mission will still be relevant and there for us as a place for us to consider all of those things.
Absolutely. I agree. I'll just echo our thanks and appreciation. And I want to end on kind of an open door note that your feedback, these comments that everyone has submitted, both for this particular purpose, but also over the years, that means so much to us as those that are kind of behind the scenes, and we don't want that to end. So if you ever feel inclined to volunteer, to be on the board, to somehow step up or voice your opinion or perspective or be involved, we clamor for that. We exist because of that. So thank you for being that safe community for us, and we hope that you see that you absolutely have that same kind of open door with us as well. So with that,
thank you.
Thank you.
And we can't wait to see you at the theater soon.
Happy 20 years.